In today's video, we will be heading to Anza Borrego State Park to do a hike simply known as the Slot. It's a good idea to use GPS to find the turn off of Highway 78 onto Buttes Pass Road because it can be a little bit hard to find. You will be staying on this dirt road for 1.8 miles, and while I wouldn't say that high clearance is necessary, there is a lot of washboard here and it gets pretty bumpy. We hadn't done this hike in years, and we were pretty surprised when we arrived at the trailhead and found that they had built a bathroom there. The parking lot here is nice and big, but this is also a very popular hike, so we recommend getting there early to ensure that you have a spot. Please note that you will need a $10 permit to do this hike, but that same permit can be used at Borrego Palm Canyon, Hellhole Canyon, Sheep Canyon, and several other spots that you can see the full list of on our website, 𝐈𝐍𝐅𝐻.com. The vast majority of people do this hike in the counterclockwise direction. This drops you directly into the Slot Canyon. However, in this video, we will be going clockwise because we wanted to get the exposed parts of the trail out of the way because the temperatures were already starting to rise. This hike has an overall distance of 2.2 miles with an elevation gain of 298 feet, and it's rated moderate. You will be hiking on this wide dirt road for about 1.3 miles. Along the way, you'll get some pretty spectacular views of the Slot Canyon, as well as the Anza Borrego Desert Wilderness. This really is a beautiful place, and the views here stretch all the way out to Fonts Point and beyond. If you haven't seen our video about Fonts Point yet, you can see it by clicking in the upper corner. Even though this hike may seem like just a simple stroll, if you come out to do this during the warmer months, please be sure to bring way more water than you think that you would need. Even on days like this where the temperature was right around 75 degrees, the sunlight was radiating off the dirt and it got pretty warm. I wish that we had more time to spend here because towards the back of the loop we did spot some wind caves off in the distance. If you want to stretch your hike out, I'll show you how to get to those in just a second. Here we are at the point in the hike where we will be dropping down into the canyon. It's going to get a little bit steep for a second. If you have a pretty beefy four-wheel drive car, you can always drive it all the way down to the bottom of this hill, but that means you're going to either have to hike out and back through the Slot Canyon, or you're going to have to hike the road like we just did. Once you are at the bottom of the hill, you will see two left turns. The first one goes to the Borrego Mountain Wash, which looks like a cool place to explore, and the second one will go to those wind caves. However, if you're just wanting to do the Slot like we are in this video, you're just going to follow the road around to the right. You will be making your way through these large boulders and then heading about 4/10 of a mile up the wash before you get to the start of the Slot Canyon. As you work your way up the canyon, the walls are going to start to get closer and closer. If you are claustrophobic, parts of this hike could be challenging for you. It definitely doesn't get anywhere near as tight as Joshua Tree's Chasm of Doom, which you can see by clicking in the upper corner, but things do get a little bit tight. As you make your way through the wash, don't forget to look up. We saw several spots where there were large boulders wedged in the canyon walls above us. And another thing that we can't stress enough if you are going to hike through this canyon is to check the weather. Slot canyons can fall victim to flash floods not only if there is rain overhead, but these flash floods can come from miles away. Once you are in the narrow portion of the canyon, there is no way that you could outrun the water, so please be careful and check that weather. Speaking of the narrow part, welcome officially to the Anza Borrego Slot. While the walls here might not have that beautiful wavy sandstone like you would find at the Antelope Ridge Via Ferrata, which you can see by clicking in the upper corner, there is still something so beautiful and mysterious about them. If you're bringing a backpack with you, there are a couple of spots that are so narrow, there's a good chance you're going to have to take it off to get through. Even though the Slot Canyon portion of this hike is only half a mile long, you're going to want to leave yourself some time. There are so many cool photo ops down here and you really don't want to rush it. In fact, it took us 2 hours and 12 minutes to complete this hike, and most of the time was spent taking pictures inside the canyon. As we worked our way further and further into the canyon, we of course had to stop for an obligatory canyon dance party before we made our way to what is probably the most challenging part of this slot canyon. And don't worry, it's not all that hard. It's this little spot right here that has these two climbs. I think that it's actually easier going this way and climbing up rather than climbing down. But either way, if you're comfortable climbing or if you have a good spotter, you should have no problems. It gets pretty easy after the climb. There are only a couple more spots with some slightly tight squeezes. And there's also an area where the walls will be closing in again, and it almost gets a little bit dark. If you look up, you'll see yet another chalk stone defying gravity right over the top of your head. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and eventually the canyon walls will fade away and you'll be back in an open wash. If watching this video has made you think, man, I would really like to hike a slot canyon, but this one is just too short, you should check out our video about hiking from Wire Pass to Buckskin Gulch. That one is 16 miles long and one of the longest slot canyons in the world. You can see it by clicking in the upper corner. If you're doing the reverse route like we did in this video, you know that you've pretty much reached the end when you see this slot sign. After passing the sign, you'll be starting the short but steep climb back up to the parking lot. If you enjoy Anza Borrego content, be sure to stay tuned for next week's video where we will show you how to find all of the large metal animal sculptures in Goleta Meadows. And with that, this video has come to an end. What do you think? Would you do this hike? If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to do us a favor and like, comment, and subscribe because it really helps out the channel. If you have any adventures that you would like to see us take on in a future video, let us know in the comments. And for all the information about the slot and other awesome Anza Borrego adventures, head on over to livethatadventure.com.